lounging, son.
All right, welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan.
And I'm Manny.
We're back with another issue of New Mutants, the Liefeld run, issue number 90. And again, we keep saying it, another fucking awesome cover. But you know what's different about this cover as opposed to the covers we've been looking at is this one's inked by Scott Williams, and let me tell you, just as great. I love seeing Liefeld with some of these, like McFarlane's been inking the covers right for the last few issues, and now we got Scott Williams. I fucking really like Scott Williams paired with Liefeld because you usually think of Scott Williams with like Jim Lee, as the first artist I'll think of when they're paired, but just such a striking cover. Like I said, it was talked about at the end of last issue that there's going to be new costumes. So like there's a connection between them, but like it's cool to kind of see them break away from that, like just plain yellow and black. And we got Cable standing there with his fucking gun, his crossbow. And
they're starting to resemble like the X-Force that we're gonna see.
And I love this how they talk to the reader. This issue, Caliban, Sabretooth, danger of new costumes. Need we say more? I miss that kind of stuff where like either you have the characters talking to each other and there's dialogue on the cover, or talking to the reader. I think it's a good
that was a very Marvel thing to do back in the day. Face it, true believer, you won't believe what's next, stuff like that.
So we flip open, and I'm not ashamed to say this, but like I'm not super versed in like all the X-Men stuff. Like obviously I don't start reading X-Men until the 90s. I've obviously gone back and read some of like the major storylines, but I also don't know a ton about the Morlocks, and which is where we are. We're in the tunnels. I believe it's under the X-Mansion. So I don't know who he is. Well, anyways, he kind of reminds me of what's his name from Youngblood?
Cougar,
yeah. So he kind of reminds me of that, and so I don't know was Samson a character. I didn't think to like look this up. But anyways, they're in the tunnels, Morlock tunnels. This is a Morlock, and we got Sabretooth in the cut, and he looks so thin to me. He looks
right.
Isn't that Wild Child? Is another one that looks kind of like Sabretooth?
Yes.
Right. So he kind of reminded me of him. Like, to me, Sabretooth should just be huge. Like, he should have had this fucking big body type. But then we get this.
Dude, I love this image.
So good.
Very Kirby.
Well, definitely Kirby-esque, but this is like a Liefeld thing. Like, I associate this whole jumping.
Yeah, I do. But what I'm saying is like especially with early Liefeld, you really see like the huge Kirby influence, like that dynamic, positioning of the figures, and like the coming at you sort of like thing that Rob loves is you can trace that back to Kirby. Like,
I just love the way he lays stuff out, dude. Like the action, there's just so much movement in his pages. So good. Like I held like when I was reading it, like I was just staring at it for like a little while. Now we get back.
Oh, there you go.
Now we get back.
I love the Warlock too.
Yeah, I know. It's so animated. Like, it's such a great design for a character. It's so different than any other comic book character, mainstream comic book character that I've ever seen designed. And so we got Cable. He's in a little bit of a different outfit than we're used to seeing him in. The New Mutants don't have their costumes yet. And he's taking them back to the mansion. So now this is where their base of operations is going to be for the foreseeable future, right? X-Mansion, I'm assuming, got like destroyed at some point. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know what was going on at that point, because like I haven't gone back and read all of it, and it's what I have read. It's been a while, but I believe the X-Men were in space at some point, right? Around this time with the Shi'ar and stuff. This is like
because this was around the time of like X-Men 275, and like I know in that issue they were out in space, and they were dealing with Liliana and
right. So that's what I think of. So like I couldn't remember like what was going on in terms of the X-Mansion, but they're going back, and you got Cannonball saying that the sub basement is still intact. Forge and Banshee even left the lights on. So this is actually going back to 264. What Cannonball's referencing. So we're going back even past what we just mentioned, which is 275.
Yeah. So I think that the whole space storyline had been going on for quite a bit.
Yeah. He says, and then Cable saying Cyclops suggests that we lie low. So this is where we get. I love these kind of things where they have the blueprints, but it's so tiny. It's so tiny here then I can like I'm not going to sit there with a magnifying glass trying to read that. My eyes aren't what they used to be. But I always love when we get the layout of anything, in comics, when they get the headquarters. Like the Teen Titans used to do really cool ones where they'd have the different tiers and it would show
Yeah.
like the different rooms and stuff like that. So I really dig that, and I have to think that maybe that's why it's in here. Maybe Liefeld little callback to that, because he definitely references some George Perez, like not panels but like pages. He does it in X-Force #1.
Yeah.
So here we go, like they're in here, and even I think this is interesting too, like that Cable's like saying, it seems secure, right? And Sam, I'm glad to see that you appreciate the library and the need for learning. I want each of you to design your own curriculums and clear it with me. So this is like he's basically just taking charge of this group, and talking about what he wants to go over in terms of like psychology, the sciences, geography, all that stuff. So he's really training some soldiers here. Wants them to be well versed in multiple different things, Then we get a little danger room action, or they're about to go into the danger room. We don't see that for a few pages. Then we go to Caliban. I love his saber tooth, even though I think he should be bulkier. I think his saber tooth is fucking creepy as hell.
Yeah, I like the claws on the feet and hands. He's very animalistic sort of look to him. Huge mane of hair.
I love how Caliban's calling Sabretooth out too, calling him arrogant and so convinced of his own prowess and invincibility, he leaves a trail of death that any fool could follow. I love that he just calls that out. And Sabretooth obviously knows somebody's following him in the tunnels, and then we just flip. So we're getting the inevitable matchup between Caliban and Sabretooth. Then we got a little scene here of them designing their new costumes. Richter saying he doesn't want a new uniform, it's just macho kid stuff. And Boom Boom's calling him out and saying, ever since Cable came, you've been like a real pain in the pain in the ass. What's with you? And then he says he knows Cable from a long time ago. So this goes back to like what I was saying last issue. Like, were these connections meant to lead somewhere?
Yeah.
Or were they like throwing us off? Or are they just there and it's just for no reason at all? I would really love to kind of know what these plans were, because I feel like somebody had a plan with it. That like I'd like to think that it wasn't just accidental, them putting these connections with Moira and Richter and stuff like that. And Boom was like, what was he, some kind of a mass murder? No, it's personal. I don't want to talk about it. And then we're going back to talking about setting up this danger room practice session.
And then we're off. They're fighting fucking TIE fighters in the next page. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did. Liefeld's always got to throw in his some of his loves. He did that in the issue of X-Men. I think it was 245 that I did. I did a video going through that, and there's this scene like where it's a rip. It's kind of parodying the Invasion book that DC did, right?
Oh yeah.
And there's all these characters in the background, and they're in space, and you'll see like Darth Vader in the background. You see Alf, you'll see fucking Chewbacca and stuff like that, Yoda. So he like just threw a bunch of like space characters in there. So awesome. I thought it was funny when I saw this, that he threw the TIE fighter in there too. And we're watching them, and they've been a team for a while, so they have good teamwork, Richter just like loses his shit here.
Yeah, it's like he's
like PTSD is coming
back.
I
was about to say, it's like he's having a PTSD meltdown right there.
Shut the blasted program off, and then we get everyone's like coming to him like, what's up, are you good? He's like, it's all right, the danger room friend is always like, I wasn't scared. And Cable's like, you're not actually hurt. He's like, yeah, no thanks to you, ran that sequence to set me up like you did my father. But he says that my father thing in his head. So again, like building a connection with Cable going into the past. And I love this, dude. There's no talking between them, but they're both talking about Richter's talking here, and then this is all Cable, all this like dialogue, like, I'll talk to him later quietly when we're alone. He must accept me as leader as others do. He must choose to remain. And if I push him too far now, I'll lose him, as I once lost my son. Again, like what son? I really feel like I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like this was because it doesn't say plot. It just straight says writer.
Yeah, it does just it still says writer. I mean, I have the trade, so he's only credited as artist on the trade
Yeah, but I gotta know.
as
I
penciler.
have to feel like, man, these are questions I want to ask next. Yeah, if I
Yeah,
get a chance to talk to Rob again, these are questions that I definitely want to be asking him. And then we get, obviously, look, the costumes. They've been talking about doing these costumes. They redesigned them, and we'll even see designs change again. When they become
X Force.
the next iteration of what they become as a team. But definitely super fashionable. Like 80s going to the 90s. I think that's something Rob wanted to do, like kind of introduce that
Yeah,
into the
just
book.
yeah, bring them a little bit fashion forward, which is
It
it's
makes
fun,
sense.
man.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And it's like
Yeah,
I'm
I agree.
not a fan of the yellow and black costumes. I think they're just plain,
I think they're cool if they're used like sporadically and like every now and then, but like as a constant, no, I like the idea of each character kind of having their own, their own costume.
And then look, Cable's we got him using Cerebro, which I mean just tells you he's got some sort of psychic ability, because I mean, pretty sure at this point still it's only psychics that are allowed that can use that, right? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
They run to him because Richter's gone. He's in the tunnels. And immediately, like Cable. So it's almost like he has this sort of like protectiveness of Richter also. Like we saw, like when I mentioned, like, that he's got to keep him around. He can't afford to lose him. And boom,
yeah,
we got there's no time to waste. Tunnel entrance, 5 minutes. We got to go after him. And then we got Richter in the tunnels. And you can tell just by the word balloon, which is yellow, that it's Caliban that's saying, "What are you doing here,
yeah.
boy?"
Good call. Yeah, because Caliban's word balloons have always been yellow. Yeah.
Yeah. These are not your tunnels, they belong to the Morlocks. And then we got a little fight here, but then who comes out of nowhere? Sabretooth.
Sabretooth. Yeah. You perform well against children, don't you, Sabretooth? Love that line.
I know, just like calling him out, dude.
Yeah, against the weak, the innocent, the unaware.
Yeah, so then he just immediately stops giving a shit about Richter and goes straight after Caliban.
Then we got this awesome shot when you turn the page of the New Mutants getting ready for action, man.
Yeah, Cable's fucking loading up his gun. He's got a bunch of grenades sitting there. And then I love this, because Boom Boom's like saying it, dude. Like, you're not gonna tell us we're too young. It should stay here while you go after Rick alone. He's like, you're too young to experience what we might find in there, but with all of us working together, he has a better chance of survival.
Yeah. He's already calling out orders. Berto, assume your sunspot aspect. Yes, sir. With your permit, and then Rain wants to go in, as you wish, Rain. Then we get the money shot here at the end,
This
and
is it.
into the tunnels. Then, and may the Lord have mercy on us all. And then next month, death in the tunnels.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. I love this shot.
Yeah, I do too. I kind of want, like, I would love to have that on a T-shirt or on a poster. Like
Yeah,
just
Sam.
that image.
I know. I would try to scan this. Maybe I don't know, because I don't like the way that it gets recolored and like the newer stuff. But I wish I wish my pages were just a little less yellowed so that I could scan this in and make a shirt on it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
I think I could scan this and make a shirt out of it for with my graphic novel.
but another great issue, dude. I'm loving
Yeah,
going through
man.
this. Again, hope you guys are digging us going through these issues. Make sure you check out the ones before. We're gonna continue this till we finish New Mutants, and then we'll go through at least the issues
X-Force.
Liefeld did for X-Force. Yeah. Make sure you follow us on social media. Manny's links down below. Comic Lounge links are down below as well. Hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid goes up. And on that note, we're out.